What's up guys, Pokémon TCG here and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today guys, we're going to be talking about Charizard EX and the multiple problems with this new card and this new deck in the upcoming, or depending on the time you watch this video, current Obsidian Flames format. So Charizard EX was recently just dropped on PTCG Live, and literally everywhere I look, so many games in a row, do I just see this Charizard EX Arceus V-Star, and it becomes really annoying. It's like this is like drawing parallels to Mew VMAX levels of just literally everyone started playing it as soon as it came out because it was so broken and nobody knew how to counter it. Nobody knew how to do anything against it. So we were at like Mew VMAX levels of just absolutely broken, but now there's there's very few counters against Charizard, and we'll get back to that. But first off, I'd like to just explain exactly why I'm so annoyed at Charizard. And it's not exactly the fault of the card itself. I mean, definitely it is, but also it's part of it is the fault of the Pokemon that TPCI chose. And so we're going to look at TCG Player here and looking at Charizard EX. Buying a Charizard EX right now, it is $28 for a basic EX. If you look at any of the other prices for these cards, you're going to see like nothing. They're going to be very, very low prices compared to this. Like the full art one, the full art Charizard EX is like $32 to $35 at the time of this recording, which is absolutely insane. That like the normal EX, which all other normal EXs, even things like Gardevoir EX, which Gardevoir just went second and got second in Worlds, is like $2 right now, like maybe even $1. And Charizard, because it's a Charizard, becomes $28. So this is what I like to call, and what everyone likes to call, the Charizard tax. Obsidian Flames is the third set of Scarlet and Violet, and we are drawing so many parallels to Darkness Ablaze from the Sword and Shield era, which was also incredibly hard to get for people to get their hands on it, especially like competitors like me. Which there were a lot of good cards to come out of that set, Darkness Ablaze, because you had things like Rose Tower, you had Rose, you had like all these things that made the set really good. And then just because there was the chance of you pulling a Charizard card, like Charizard VMAX or Charizard V, it immediately just went crazy in price. I remember like one of the first few days that the set was out, my brother pulled a Charizard VMAX, and it was like $150 at the time, which was absolutely crazy. And then and the set was just so overly hyped because of Charizard, and because the only Pokemon that Pokemon would advertise would be Charizard. So now the fact that we have yet another super overpowered playable Charizard card in format is just so annoying. So we're gonna look at Charizard. We're gonna see exactly what does this deck do, what does it look like, and also kind of why is just such a problem, why Charizard is such a big deal, and why everyone is, or at least a good number of people, myself included, are definitely really annoyed with this card. So Charizard EX has 330 HP, it's a stage 2, and it's a Terra Dark type. So this is the new like Terra changing types Terra EXs that were introduced in this set, and it is immediately the best one. Like it's not even close, and for a number of reasons. First off, 330 HP Dark type, we already know just based off of this that it's going to be a good card, because 330 is such a difficult number to hit right now. Like Mew VMAX is 3 prize cards and it has 310 HP. And the fact that Charizard is a dark type means that it has immediately good matchups against Gardevoir and against Mew, which is wonderful, which is just thrilling. But also it has a broken ability and a broken attack. But because it's also a dark type, it has a really good weakness, which is against grass types. And grass types, I'm not gonna lie, at the time of this recording, grass types just kind of suck. I'm just gonna put it straight there. Grass types are pretty terrible. Like there are some notable exceptions, obviously, but like grass right now is such a heavily underperforming typing that Charizard is just able to thrive because it has such a good typing advantage against two of the most popular decks in the format, and then it just absolutely shreds through everything else. So its ability, Infernal Rain. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you can search your deck for the 3 basic fire energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. Which is just like, okay, that's expected from a Charizard card. We've seen a lot of different Charizard cards throughout time, like be able to power up Pokemon, but this one literally is like no drawback. There's no damage counters being placed anywhere. There's no nothing. There's no like discarding cards if you want to, like what was it, like Leon's Charizard. It just is like a really dumb ability where it's like just stupidly overpowered for no reason because, oh, it's Charizard. We got to make the Charizard card more powerful so that way everyone's going to want to buy it. We'll get back to that in a minute here, but then Burning Darkness. For 2 fire energies, you immediately do 180 damage. For 2 fire energies, you can one-hit KO Mew VMAX or Gardevoir EX with so much ease. Like, it's not even a competition of how stupidly easy this is. This is like the most brain-dead thing you can do. Is just attach fire energy, even if you naturally attach to a Charmander, and then you just rare candy evolve Charizard, Infernal Rain, boom, so many energies are now in play, and then you just attach another energy somewhere else. It's just absolutely insane. And then you can, Burning Darkness is not just base 180. It does 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent's taken. So if they've taken 5 prize cards, you're doing, oh my gosh, I haven't even done the math yet. You're going to be doing 330 damage, which is enough to knock out another Charizard. But that's just so dumb. That knocks out any VMAX in the format, which is like, oh, okay, I'm going to attach 2 energies with my really easy to put into play stage 2 2-prizer, and I'm going to one-hit KO it. And like, that's just how it's going to be. So it's just absolutely so dumb and brain dead, in my opinion. I just think it's like such a poorly designed card in the sense that it's just way too broken because it has everything going for it, partially just because it's a Charizard. So again, we're on TCG Player. We're going to see this is $28. In order to buy this Charizard, it's $28 market price. And part of that has to do with the Charizard tax, which we already kind of mentioned. But that Charizard tax specifically is what makes this partially just so annoying. It's very difficult to get your hands on Charizard EX right now because it's so expensive. And with all these decks playing like 3 of copies of this, there is no way that I'm about to go spend near $100 for 3 of these Charizards, and for 3 of these Dark Terra type Charizard EX. Like there's just no way you can convince me to do that. And it's like every single game that I play on Pokemon TCG Live, which is not very many nowadays, because I'm tired of PTCG Live, except for like content creation. It is just Charizard. All I see is Charizard, and it's just so annoying. But like the fact that it's also a Charizard means that all the collectors are going to go after it, and because people on TCG Player, they know the market, they can read the market here. They see Charizard is performing well as a competitive card, and it's a good everyone's going to want to pull it as a collector, meaning that they're going to jack up those prices because they know that there is going to be an insane amount of interest on both ends of the TCG, both like consumer ends of the TCG, which just makes it so much more difficult to get your hands on them. But then if you do, you just really have a good chance to beat anything you want. So we're gonna go on to Limitless TCG here, and there is just so much here. Obviously, Obsidian Flames is new at the time of this recording, where you see 62 count, and then kind of dips off from there. Like, there's still plenty of time for the format to kind of form and whatever. But looking at this right out the gate, Chi and Pow backs Caliber. We'll get back to Chi and Pow in a little bit. We'll get back to Chi and Pow, but we're gonna look at Charizard real quick. Let's go to there is no first place Charizard deck in online yet, which is fine. But let's look at this. This is like the most generic, I guess, not a super generic. It plays Vitality Band, and it plays Jock. Honestly, what is this deck? But this is like one of those like generic Charizard decks. One thing that it does play is it plays Pidgeot EX. Charizard has two main partners, and that's going to be Arceus V-Star, which we all know Arceus V-Star at this point. It's not, honestly, I'm not even going to try and talk about Arceus because it's been covered a lot on the channel before. But Pidgeot EX is a brand new EX, which is another notable card from this set, which literally is a 4 Steel Stone every single turn. It's so broken. This card is just so broken, which is cool because it's a callback to, I think, like Fire Red, Leaf Green era Pidgeot from back then, where it had, I think, the same ability name. But like quick search, you can search your deck for any card, every single turn, which makes the consistency of this deck absolutely insane. And I'm totally okay with that. Like, honestly, the fact that this is a stage 2, and it's weak to electric types, which is a popular typing right now, and that it's a 2-prizer in order to use this ability is totally fine. Honestly, I don't really have a problem with Pidgeot, because I think it opens up a lot of doors, and it also is fairly balanced in this current format. But then you have things like Charizard, which make it absolutely just, when paired with things like Charizard, it just makes it so annoying. Like, looking at this deck, you can see that it is very like high count of a lot of different things. Delphox V is another one I want to talk about. So Delphox V is like a snipe. It's really Delphox plus Radiant Charizard. Like, this is where Fire is finally starting to get the attention that it's been missing for such a long time. But the only problem is that it's with this guy. It's of course with the Charizard. It has to be with the Charizard, and it has to be with the Dark type Charizard, which is just so like ironic on how Fire type is being revived by a Dark type. But of course, it's got to be the most popular Fire type of all time. Charizard isn't even done evolving yet. This deck is constantly changing. There are so many different versions of this of Charizard. Like, even looking at this deck, it's probably going to be, I guarantee it's going to be different. And boom, yeah, it's different. And like, they're all so different, which is kind of cool, honestly. I kind of like seeing how all these decks can be so different. But at the same time, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, Charizard is just going to be like, you're going to like spam a whole bunch of Charizards. You're going to just place them all down on the bench. You're going to have all of these options and all of these cards to use. And then it's like, it's just a playable card that is so, is annoyingly overpowered. In that it's everywhere. It's like a disease just kind of festering. And then you have things like Radiant Charizard, which makes everything more annoying, honestly. It's like its whole thing. It's like a whole thing where Charizard has become this deck where it's so annoying to... You literally are just gonna physically roll your eyes and groan every time you're faced up against a Charizard deck, and the only way to beat Charizard is to play Charizard, or to play Chi and Pow backs Caliber. So Chi and Pow recently has... Oh, deck lists are not public. Great. Chi and Pow has started re-emerging, which I'm really happy about. I like Chi and Pow. I think it is a very fun deck. But it's starting to re-emerge as a deck in this format that can be really good against things like Charizard, because it can hit those really big numbers, and it can get those one-hit knockouts in order to get rid of those Charizards. And it's like a two-prize... It's like two prizers. This deck is crazy. Like, Chi and Pow has definitely changed drastically since last we saw in Paldea Evolved, where it's completely dropped Arceus, it's completely dropped Palkia, and now it's turned into like a Pidgeot build, and focusing more on just getting those Chi and Pows going. And like all these really high counts of like canceling Cologne, Irida, Iono, 2 Iono even, which is 4 Irida, 2 Iono, no boss, just 4 cross switcher. Like this deck is just hyper aggressive, and you can just see with this deck that is specifically being designed to hit Charizard numbers. With all these cards, like seeing the energy retrievals and seeing all these like really heavy counts of energy searching abilities, cross switcher, escape rope, that sort of stuff, so you can keep using Shivery Chill, you can just see that this is specifically geared towards hitting those big numbers, which is like the only way you can stop Charizard, except for one other card that we haven't talked about yet and that we're about to talk about, and that is Path to the Peak. So Giratina is also doing really well right now, and part of the reason that Giratina is doing so well is because it is playing, part of the reason that it's doing so well is because it is playing Path to the Peak. Path to the Peak has really re-emerged here as this, as like kind of the savior of the format, where people play Path to counter Mew before, and they even still do to this day. Now Path is back to stop Charizard, which is just super great in my opinion. I think that Path is just really good for the format now. In real life, I complain about Path a lot, where it's just like, gosh dang, they have the Path. Path is annoying because it always stops me from being able to do anything. But at the end of the day, I understand, and like I appreciate this card. I'm glad that this card exists, because this format would be so bad if it wasn't Path, if Path wasn't a thing. But then we also have things like Shaman V, Shaman V in this deck in order to counter those Charizards. So you can just see everywhere these like how these cards like Shaman V, grass types, are starting to try and leak into these pre-existing decks because of Charizard. This is like Drapion V for Charizard, except like way worse, where like there has to be so much extra effort and extra care put into it in order to stop it. It's not like Mew last time, where eventually we got like a trillion counters to it. This time it's like we have options. They're just not that very good. So Charizard overall, and this is not really to like hate on people who play Charizard, people who take advantage of like how broken this card is, which is smart. Honestly, I don't have any sort of hatred to people who play Charizard, but can you please try, just even think about trying to play something else. Try and play something more ingenuitive, something that's not generic Charizard list number 7,432. Like, at the end of the day, Charizard is just going to be a really good card, and that's not really anything we can do about it unless there's like a nerf, like, or, and like, I don't even think there's anything that you can do about that unless it gets banned, or unless we get like a really good counter next set in 151, which there's not. But Charizard's just going to continue to rampage its way through the format, hopefully not hitting Path, and yeah, that's really my complaints and concerns with Charizard. I know I kind of repeated myself a lot in the video, and that's just because it's honestly just all boiling down to those simple, like, I don't like it because it's expensive, I don't like it because it's Charizard, I don't like it because it's got all the, like, it just all comes down to these simple arguments that, like, I want to try and explain the best I can. So if you guys agree with me, just let me know in the comments below. I would really appreciate that. If you guys want to see more Pokemon TCG content on the channel, consider subscribing. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I know I've been gone a lot lately. I've been on vacation and spending time with family a lot lately, so there should be some more content on the channel coming up here. I also just posted on the second channel. Link to the second channel will be in the description. But if you guys are interested, just consider subscribing and liking the video. It would be a great help. And also just tell me exactly, what do you think about Charizard? Do you think that it deserves to be such a powerful card in this format? Do you think it should be the deck that it is? Or do you think that it's just kind of an overrated deck that's just Charizard because why not? But that's going to wrap it up for this video on Charizard EX. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, God bless, have fun, we'll see you out there, and we'll see you next time. Thank you all so much for watching.